Thou shalt not do stupid things and then blame someone else or some company for your own stupidity. Voting for what you as an individual feel is the right thing. There's a point where you have to stand up and take care of yourself. Why can't we secure our borders? They don't want to address the real problem. We were providing health care, room and board for someone the state's going to execute. I just happen to think that we as a country, as a people, and as individuals, we can do a little bit better. And welcome to this edition of the Bougie Side. Shortly after the tragedy of 9/11 happened, I remember a close friend and I were having a discussion on how the United States should react if or when we found out who was behind the attacks on the World Trade Center. My friend was of the opinion that the United States should not attack any country, even if we found out who actually did it. And I disagreed with him. And I gave him this example. I said, let's say one day you're at home, you're minding your business, and you're going about your everyday life. And an intruder, a burglar, or whoever breaks into your home and slaps your wife and slaps your kid. Now, you don't know who this guy is. He just broke in your house. You have no idea why he's doing it. He just did it. Well, I could tell by the look on my friend's face that he found that entire situation very disconcerting. He just didn't like it. I then told him, let's up the ante on this a little bit. Let's say that same burglar broke into your home and killed your wife and your child. Well, at this point, he didn't even want to talk about it anymore. He's like, look, I don't want to even think about something like that. Now, see, I could mess with him because, I've known my friend for over 20 years. And I remember, back in the day that he fully understood and on occasion applied the eye for an eye principle. Well, he's since matured, as we all do, and you grow out of that way of thinking. And you try and find peaceable ways to handle things. So since I knew him pretty well, I knew I could mess with him a little bit. And even though he was exhibiting a pacifist way of handling the situation, his emotions and his face betrayed him. And I could see it in his eyes on that thought. Retaliating violently was definitely something he was considering. Now, the idea I wanted him to understand is that the United States, on a larger scale, can be compared to your home. It's where we live. We pay for its upkeep, and we expect our families to be safe here, just like your home. You don't want anyone breaking into your house, or yet even, your country, but for some reason, we allow this to happen every day. And what's more disturbing is that our brilliant and illustrious public officials are trying to find a way to make the trespassers in this country more comfortable. And I find it hard to swallow. Let's take a look at the health care the U.S. is providing our guests. I was reading an article in USA Today about the United States government having to pay up to 30% of the hospital bills for illegal immigrants. The situation is that Mexican citizens cross the border illegally to receive medical treatment. The problem for the hospitals is that these individuals can't afford and they have no intention on paying for the care they receive. And so the hospital gets stuck with the bill. Now, as a citizen, if I were to do something like that, it would be considered fraud. And let me put it in terms that come back to us. On your pay stub, there was a joke that said, I want to know who this guy FICA is because he's taking all the money out of my check. All those little line items that are on your check for deductions for taxes and things like that, that money is what's used to pay those hospital bills. So they're taking money out of your check. Now, it may be $1, maybe a penny, depending upon how much it is you actually make. But there is a direct correlation. You can look on your paycheck and see. If I went and looked, I can see the dollar amount or whatever that's coming out of my check. It may be half a cent or whatever. But that is the amount that someone is stealing from you when they come across the border. Now, it's now, as a citizen of the United States, let's try this. It's designed for this, okay? Our hospital system. As a citizen of the United States, you know, or someone who's indigent and they can't afford to get care, that's how the system is set up. In other words, you're a citizen, you can't afford it, come to a hospital, they'll treat you, bam. Now I understand that because you've got a person who's been paying into our system and they're doing all the responsible things. Now I'm having a hard time understanding why it is our government is subsidizing illegal acts by people who are coming into this country. I'm having a hard time understanding why we're allowing this to happen. All things considered, I would think the Mexican government would be on the hook for the tab. I can't point a finger at the hospitals because they're not in charge of the border. They're not in charge of keeping people from coming in who aren't supposed to come in. The hospitals are operating under the guidelines that have been set for them. And originally, those guidelines were set for the citizens of this country, not someone coming here illegally.